नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। श्रीन्वातं स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदयन्तस्त्रयवादानि विदुनोति सुरेशतम्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भाविति नैष्टिकी मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुलङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Hare Krishna everyone. So today's chapter is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, and text 43, 44, and 45. This chapter is called The Story of King Vena. So I'm going to recite this particular sloka. Vinikshityavam rusayo vipanasya mahipate mamanturum tarasa tatrasi bahuko naraha. Translation by Divine Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages joined the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force, and according to a specific method, as a result of this journey, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Purport that a person was born by the churning of the thighs of King Vena proves that the spirit soul is individual and separate from the body. The great sages and saintly persons could beget another person from the body of a dead King Vena, but it was not possible for them to bring King Vena back to life. King Vena was gone, and certainly he had taken another body. The saintly persons and sages were only concerned with the body of Vena because it was a result of seminal succession in the family of Maharaj Dhruva. Consequently, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in the body of King Vena. By a certain process, when the thighs of the dead body were churned, another body came out. Although dead, the body of King Vena was preserved by drugs and by mantras chanted by King Vena's mother. In this way, the ingredients for the production of another body were there. When the body of the person named Bahuga came out of the dead body of King Vena, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. From the semen of the body, another body is produced, and the life symptoms are visible due to the souls taking shelter of this body. One should not think that it was impossible for another body to come out of the dead body of Maharaj Vena. This was performed by skillful action of the sages. Text 44. Kaka Krishna Divaswango Raso Bahu Mahahanu Raso Panina Nasagro Raktaksa Tamra Mridajaham. Translation. This person, born from King Bena's thighs, was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as a crow. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat, his eyes were reddish, and his hair copper colored. Text 45. Tam teu tam teu te banatam dinam kim karomiti vadinam nisideti abrovam stata na nisada tato bhavat. Translation: He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth, he bowed down and inquired, Sirs, what shall I do? The great sage replied, Please sit down, Nisida. Thus, Nisida, the father of Nisad race, was born. Purport: It is said in the Shastra that the hair of the body, sorry, it is said in the Shastra that the hair of the body represents the Brahmanas, the arms represent the Kshatriyas, the abdomen represents the Vaishya, and the legs, beginning with the thighs, represent the Sudras. The Sudras are sometimes called black or Krishna. The Brahmanas are called Shukla or white, and the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas are mixture of black and white. However, those who are externally white are said to have a skin produced out of white leprosy. It, it may be concluded that white or golden hue is the color of the hair caste and black is the complexion of the Sudras. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णमस्तभूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी चिदमिज नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna everyone. Thanks for joining and giving me the opportunity to speak on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. This particular section, in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are seeing very special incident that is happening. King Bena, being the son of Sunita, and Sunita is a daughter of death personified. So King Bena acquired the quality of his mother lineage, and because of the inappropriate quality of the lineage, Bena performs many sinful activities because he inherited the inauspiciousness or the sinful things from the mother's side. So that's why Bena performs many sinful activities, so much so that the great sages feels that there is no good in his living. So the great sages decided it's better King Bena should be died instead of living. So he was first enthroned. He was first dethroned from the kingship. You know, it would have been difficult to handle him doing so many atrocities. So, trying to change the process of Bena, what was doing, he was trying to change the process of sacrifices. So, these are very, very demoniac activities. So, finally, the great sages felt that it's better that he would have died. So, however, they thought that killing Bena was the solution. So, at first, they killed King Bena simply by chanting the mantras. So, then they realized, oh, it didn't solve the real problem because the king was missing. So even though at the time King Bena was present, the rogues, the atrocities were increased in the cities. Even though after he gone, since in that city there was no king, again the atrocities increases. And also Bena is in the lineage, like if you see the descendants, so the ancestor of King Bena, it was Juba Maharaj. So he was belongs to a great family. So they need an offspring for them to to grow their the, the descendants. So that's why there is another program for the sages. So that's why killing of King Bena was not a solution and didn't solve the real problem. So initially the sages thought to enthrone King Bena, and it will solve the problems. So without the king, so as I mentioned, the atrocities increases and the plunders increases. That there is nobody to monitor whether the religious activities are taking place or not. So now, so they are trying to come up with better solutions. The solution is that they prayed to Supreme Lord to appear, and by the divine power of the sages, they understood that the process of making the Supreme Lord appear is by churning the body of King Bena. Although it is not explicitly mentioned that how they come to this conclusion to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because since they are the Lord scholars, so they know better. So generally, Supreme Lord appears by performing Vedic sacrifices. So Supreme Lord appears along with the different demigods. So it is not surprise. So it is uh, surprising that the great sages have a specific understanding of how to do something, so that the great sages also know that we will call the Supreme Lord only when the atrocities become intolerable. So then the atrocities happening in the city can be controlled. So the sages respect the lineage in which King Bena was born. So they have decided that the seminal succession of Dhruva Maharaj should continue. And another surprising fact is that uh, rather, it is and continue. And also, another surprising fact is that rather it is lucky that by the time the great sages decided, the body was still preserved. You know, so who preserved the body, dead body of King Bena? It was his mother. You know, because she was too attached to his son, and she also knows the mantras. So then, by the mantras and by some different drugs, so the body was preserved, right? So, so, uh, however, the mother of Bena, Sunita, was very attached to his son, and she could not fathom the fact that my son is dead, and she wanted to preserve the body. The reason is she's too attached to his son. The great sages knew how from this dead body a living can be generated. Generally, by the arrangement of Supreme Lord, man and woman produce the body when after their conjugal love or after a combination. So this happen in earthly planets, but the Supreme Lord or even the great sages are exception to this process. So as you know, the story of Parasara Muni. So Parasara Muni was traveling in a boat. Who was driving the boat? Satyavati. Now Satyavati was sitting in that boat. So if you know, so by the glance of Parasara Muni, Satya was pregnant, and immediately Vedavyas came, right? So Vasudev came. So that's the process, because the great sages they don't have to go through the sexual intercourse to produce the baby, produce the child, because they have so much power that by the glances also, you know, so they can produce the child. So same thing, similar things. So it's not surprising that if you charm the body, if you charm the body, then there is no living. Then the living entity can be come out of this dead body, because it is simply the mystical powers of the great sages. Okay, it's not astonishing. Anyways, so they knows how to produce the living entity from the dead body. So here the sages have decided by churning whatever is there is in Bena's good things in Bena can be brought out. Although initially, uh, initially whether it is good. So first, what happened while churning the king's Bena's body? At first, it says all of the accumulated, what is called the inauspiciousness or the bad qualities or whatever is bad with available in the King Bena's body, it came out in the form of Bahuka, you know. So later the Bahuka becomes Nisada. And the Nisada means, those peoples are hiding inside the jungle, or you can say inside in the mountain. And at night time they rob the peoples, or they kill the peoples. So those are the kind of race categories they born from the Nisada community. So, anyways, so this person born from King Bena's thigh was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as crows. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short, and his jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were red, and his hair copper-colored. When Bahuka was born, he was take charge of the lower race of people called Nisadas. So, to to say that Bahuka was not a great personality. Later, when the sages decided to join the arms of the Bena, will bring out the Supreme Lord, so the sages can do mystical things. In the next chapter, King Khutu's appearance and coronation will learn that the male and female born of arms of Bena's body, they are very, they are, the sages are very pleased, for they could understood that the couple was an expansion of the plenary person of the Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because after the churning, what happened in the arm of King Vena, so the two personalities came out, Lakshmi Narayan. So they are not they are not the Vishnu Tattva, but yeah, so they are the Saktavaks avatar of Vishnu, and they are the plenary person of the Vishnu. And if they come, Vishnu always comes with Lakshmi. So that's why one male child, one female child was born. The male child is the expansion of Vishnu, and the female child is the expansion of Mother Lakshmi. So that is what we are going to read in the next chapter. So, so let me give you some details about that, this chapter we're reading right now. So the mystery of producing a baby from the thighs of Maharaj Vena, of course, this has been compared to the process of cloning, right? Cloning. So right now you can see in many movies or anything, so you can see the cloning process and all. So we can see that, okay, somehow we can compare it with the process of cloning. So uh, in any case, in the history of King Bena, of course, King Bena was already dead, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to clone him. And there is a curious phenomenon of this person called Bahuka. So there seemed to be a doctrine of heredity in this history. Basically, the sages wanted to get offspring from the body. That's why so all the things are happening. So, anyways, so so here we can see that. So as I described earlier, so at first the Bahuka came out of the body of King Vena. So now when the Bahuka came out to life, he asked the sages, "Sir, what shall I do?" And they said, "Sit down." Which which sit down means which was Nisada. So he becomes a Nisada, a person who been ordered to sit down, and these Nisadas become a sort of society of thieves and plunderers and hunters who are required to live out in the remote hill country and in the forest. So it's an interesting story because it mentions in particular that Bahuka was obedient. He immediately did what the great sages ordered him to do so. So he didn't seem to exhibit the character of Bena. It's not stated anywhere that he was cruel and went around killing people the way Bena had done so. It would appear as though the sinful qualities in Bena were transformed in some way and deposited in this being called Bahuka. So the sinful qualities, everything is transformed as a form of the sinful qualities of Bena is transformed in the form of Bahuka. So this suggests another theory concerning of sinful actions, right? So name that though these were kind of I know once again. Uh, so So in the next phase, as I mentioned, two beings produced by churning the arms of King Vena. Now that is, sinful reactions are eliminated from the bodies of King Vena, and the remaining bodily substance was supposedly pure. A new person was created. Actually, two persons, male and female, as I already described, Lakshmi Narayan, right? It is stated. So these were, of course, so the who two personalities were produced name was Prithu and Archi, and they were expansion of Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi. It is stated, so these were, of course, not Vishnu Tattva, They were always an expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these persons were produced from the bodies of Maharaj Vena, and they exhibited godly characteristic and so on. The story of Prithu, by the way, is interesting. Prithu is described as the creator or of organized city life and the bringer of the agriculture, which of course leads to the question of exactly what sort of kingdom was there. You know, basically, he is exactly was what sort of kingdom was there before, since you had the King Bena and King Anga and so forth. That's what King Puthu Maharaj will do in the future. He will be the realistic. He will the he'll the king. By everyone has to follow them. So in a summary, what happened? So the great sages joined the thighs of their Bena and by with the great forces. So what happened? The drop-like person born from Bena's body, right? So the sages make best use of bargain, and so what happened? The king Bena was gone, and certainly he had taken another body, the saintly person, and the sages were only concerned with the body of Bena because it was a result of the seminal succession in the family of Maharaj Dhruva. So then, consequently, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in the body of King Bena. Okay, and so so then what happened? So then ingredients for the production of another body was there, and when the body of the persons named Bahuka came out of the dead body of King Bena, it was really not very astonishing. It was simply a question of knowing how to do it. So from the semen of one body, another body is produced, and the life symptoms are visible due to the souls taking shelter of this body. So at the end, what happened after Nisada's birth? So Nisada took charges of the result actions after Nisada's birth. So Nisada took charge of result of resultant actions of Bena's sinful activities. Nisada class engaged in sinful activities, allowed to live in hills and forest. So this is the summary of this particular chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll stop here. Please forgive me if I made any mistakes while narrating the pastimes, narrating the summary of this particular.